Sponsored by Andrea Mason, Press Play, Plan Life According to You, LLC. Take care of your mental health. Find inner peace by rediscovering and loving you for who you truly are. Take advantage of this exclusive offer and choose to press play today. Thank you.
Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? This is the host of the Buzzing With Marlowe podcast. I am yours truly, Warren Marlowe. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Hit that notification bell to stay in contact with all our platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Tumblr, Threads. We are there. Obviously, guys, you can catch us on all audio platforms as well. Just to name a few: Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Amazon Pods, Good Pods, definitely Good Pods, all Apple platforms, and more importantly, iHeartRadio and Spotify. Yes. All right, guys. We got a great episode today, man. I want to apologize. We haven't been, dishing out some episodes lately, and I apologize. So that's why we've been doing a lot of Buzzing With Gaming, just to kind of keep some content going. It's just been massively crazy at my household lately. So between with wrestling, everything, I ain't got no excuses, but I mean, it's just been a chaotic thing. So definitely going to get my butt back on that pedal, and we're going to keep it rolling. But before we get to that, we got to talk about the ones that pay the bills. That's right, guys. I've been feeling a little sluggish. I feel really good today, because you want to know why? Because I had some of that W Energy, W.GG. Go in there, get that website. You can go and get you some of that jitterless energy. That's right, guys. They got a countless amount of flavors. Peach and peach, push and punch, big energy, tears. That's the one that's getting me through this day. But there's so many different flavors that you could check out yourself. Of course, also, guys, if you're unsure, and if you say that's a little pricey to start something you're not sure of, you can go and get a sampler where it gives you a protein shaker bottle and 2 flavors of your choice. Or you can just get a protein bottle, or you could get some bumper stickers if you're a NASCAR fan, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, you name it. Type in a promo code BUZZ20 and you get 10% off of your purchase. Capital B, BUZZ20, to get 10% off of your purchase. Of course, guys, we have our lovely merch. Bonfire/Buzzing with Marlowe. Yes. You get some of that, Mr. Red, White, and Blue attire for you. That's right, guys. We have him in stock. He's ready to go. You can get any type of shirt that you want. You can get a hoodie. You can get a long sleeve. You can get the quarter sleeves. They're there. Obviously, guys, you have so many options on colors, all those different great things. And like I said before, we focus more on the youth of that merch line itself. Obviously, guys, we have every setback makes one heck of a comeback. That's right, guys. You can get that in any type of shirt, and there's so many countless flavors as well. So definitely check those out. And of course, guys, you got morphing into season 5. That's right, guys. It's going to be a little pricier just due to the colors, but if you think that's crazy, you can go back to every setback makes one heck of a comeback, and you get that same Morphin in the Season 5 logo on the back. Same cost, don't go crazy. Also, guys, we have the original Buzzing with Marlowe. We got hats, we got hoodies, we got tank tops, we got all of that. Also, guys, you can go on our spring tees. You can go on any different option if you want some shorts, all that, man. Type going down in our link tree below and go and see all those great options for you. All you got to do is type in a promo code BUZZ20 and you get 12% off of your purchase with a capital B, BUZZ20, to get 12% off of your purchase. Shout out to Bonfire, always giving that Buzzing with Marlowe attire what you need. Yes. Also, guys, I want to give a shout out to our other sponsor as well, Miss Andrea Mason. That's right, guys. Go to her link if you feel like you just need somebody to talk to or to get your mind right in the right path. Andrea is the person to do it. Also, guys, she has got her own podcast. She's got so many countless hats that she wears, man. Definitely recommend Andrea Mason. Also, make sure every week you check out her podcast, Press Unleashing the Champions. They're awesome episodes, awesome interviews, everything, guys. Definitely check it out. And of course, if you go to it and stuff, let her know that Buzzing with Marlowe sent you. All right, guys. Like I said, I apologize. We haven't had the episodes routinely in the last week and a half, and I apologize for that. But guys, we got a great episode today. We've got a lot. I'll cover a little bit more about the episodes with the regarding with wrestling, everything going on right now. Summertime. We've been real hot this summer with wrestling. Everything it's been chaotic. It's been crazy. I've been happy about it just because busy is good, and that's something that I've always learned, man. If you're busy, that means you're doing something. If you're busy when it's not good, that's where it's like really bad. But we got it figured out, and it's been a blast. As you could tell, I got someone in the back with me. That's right, man. We got my little man here. He is here. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Come over here. Come over to the camera. Come over here.
Hi.
He's got a nice little haircut. He's been enjoying. How's the summer been so far?
Good. Man, I tried to Mr. Beast. It was good.
Oh yeah, guys. Also, he has a TikTok video that he made himself. He wanted to. We went to Zaxby's. If you haven't heard of Mr. Beast, the YouTube sensation, my son made me go to Zaxby's to go get the Mr. Beast box. And the main reason, of course, which was super crazy, and my son don't ever eat chocolate. He really doesn't eat sweets much at all. And to have him actually open up a chocolate bar and eat it and not make a face or anything and said it was good, I was blown away. So if you haven't, go check our TikTok. Go at Buzzing with Marlowe. You could check his video where he was giving his advice, his input and his opinion on the first taste test of the Mr. Beast chocolate bar. So if you haven't, please go check it out, man. We greatly appreciate it. All right, guys. So no more yabbing on. We've got a great episode today for episode 176. Man, shout out to y'all. 176. We've been killing it with Buzzing with Gaming. Definitely getting better with it. I'm getting a capture card and stuff. I've been reading on how to get better with the streams. I'm going to bring some more wrestling content out. Since commission talks, we're fully on break until I say it for SummerSlam. I think before SummerSlam, commission talks will be back. So also, man, make sure y'all check them boys out. My boy Brian B from the Beeline Entertainment LLC, killing it every week. He's also streaming, doing watch-alongs for Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and the pay-per-views. So if you haven't, go check him out. Speaking of that, go check out my boy Tino. Tino's Time. That man streams everything. Tino is my inspiration, man. Tino is me. He made me want to start the streaming for video games and stuff like that. So definitely shout out to Tino. Shout out to my boy Dre on Wheels from the 1130 podcast. Dre just had his season finale. His guest was Brian B. And of course, you know, he actually just had his first watch along for Money in the Bank. So that was pretty cool. And I'm glad, and I loved hearing the feedback that he was saying, like, that was his most viewed episode he's ever done. So that's really cool. Guys, but we're not going to yabber on no more. Man, my guest today is a welcome back, David Figueroa, man. Well, David is here, man. I was so excited to talk to him. If you had this recording was right after he just got done being a media panelist for Wrestlecon. And we talk about, you know, just the day going into it, how everything went, how he got into it. Shout out to my boy Sticks. If you don't know that man, he's managing some great talent on the indies right now, and he's even a hell of a great commentator. I've known him from, you know, DCCW. Shout out to DCCW, man. They had a great freaking show. We just had Heat Wave. It was a great turnout, and just it was monumental. I'm hearing about the, you know, sales and everything is just really freaking awesome. But shout out to Sticks, man. He got David into the media panelist standpoint, and more importantly, he got to interview some great, you know, legends. I mean, if you haven't watched, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about Comic-Con, but this was a Wrestlecon, and the first time ever it was in a changed location, a big venue. It was at the World Golf Village, like super huge, special for a Wrestlecon. All that was like super insane to see. So it was really cool. So we're gonna talk about, you know, his interviews. How was he going in? How was he feeling? And also, more important, we're going to talk about a big interview he got to have with Matthew Riddle. That's right, guys. I'm talking about former WWE superstar Matt Riddle, former RK Bro tag team member Matt Riddle. So, guys, I ain't going to yapper on no more. So when the countdown goes 30-1, after our commercial break, we will be joined with, once again, David Figueroa. And guys, that starts in 3, 2, 1. Right?
Perfect. Okay. Wow! Meow! Shish!
That's it, buddy. You're out of here.
No!
always aspired to be a professional wrestler? Do you think you have what it takes to step through these ropes and take your place among the immortals? Well, now you have an opportunity. Join us at the DCCW training facility at Harvest Ministries in McClenny, Florida. There you will be put to the test and challenged like you have never been challenged before. If you think you have what it takes, prove it to the world, but most importantly, prove it to yourself.
All right, guys, I have got a man that has been the returning man. I think this is like his 4th or 5th episode. But hey, man, I got the one, the only, the man that brings cerebral palsy to light. Ladies and gentlemen, I got David Figueroa. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, brother? Thanks for having me back on again. I'm excited. Like I said, I was coming off the heels of a major River City Wrestlecon, and I'm excited to be on today to kind of talk about it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's go into it, man. Obviously, you know, WrestleCon's first year getting a big venue. This is their 4th year. I remember when they first started. Actually, I think the first year all AEW talent was on WrestleCon because this was their first year that AEW was even a thing. And scenes, and I was like, okay. And they finally announced that they were going to get a bigger venue, which was really, really awesome. So, Dave, I got to know, you witnessed Sunday, even though it was a 2-day event. What was the experience like, man?
Man, for me, being that it was my first year there, getting to meet Nick, the founder of the River City Wrestling Con, and it was very hospitable and welcoming, and just the whole atmosphere in general. It's something that not many people get to do, especially being a part of media, you know, being surrounded by people by wrestlers and by personalities to watch as a kid. And not only that, but you have the opportunity to interview them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, I love it. So, man, we got to go with it. You and a couple of friends, they got to go to this event. You know, there was wrestlers everywhere. It wasn't just like you had to go far back or whatever, man. I was getting a tour video from a couple of the friends and just seeing the setup and stuff like that. And I mean, you got legends just walking in the door. You got legends on the halfway spot. Like, that venue was so big. And I was just amazed about how much the WrestleCon itself filled that World Golf Village at the same time. Like, because that is a huge building. And I felt like that was really cool to see that deliverance and stuff like that, and see the videos and the pictures and stuff like that. So what was one of those mark out moments that you got?
I would say the first one was actually meeting the Hardys, because I've been a fan since I was a kid, and getting to meet Matt and Jeff, and they were gracious enough to want to take a picture with me, and my buddy who was there as my driver / cameraman, because he was filming me, doing these interviews, and he was marking out more than I was, because he's like, yo, this is a big opportunity for just me, but the podcast as a whole, and for people around there that are thinking about getting into podcasting and thinking that this is difficult. You never know when you're gonna get your break,
Yep. I mean, it always takes one.
And I gotta credit to somebody out there, Sticks, who literally stuck his neck out for me for a few of those interviews, and was really convincing some of those wrestlers out there to really, put their trust in my podcast and my interview skills, and made some stuff happen.
I'm going to hear a lot of that banter. I know he keeps knocking on the door to be on the Buzzing With Marlowe show. He's been consistently messaging me. So funny when I mean, there's a lot of wrestling fans that really get humble, talking to me and talking about that landscape and seeing the perspective of a wrestler's perspective and stuff like that. I didn't realize how long me, you, and Ken Sticks were in a group together, because I've known Sticks for a while. And, Ken actually works on the shows that I do at DCCW in the Baker County areas and stuff like that. And so we were just talking about it, and I was like, yeah, man, I want to appreciate you, doing what you're doing for David. He's like, man, David's killing it. And he's like, if I could be anyone like that, I would want to be like David. Like, there's so many people you were inspiring, man. Like Tino, you've connected so many people with Tino and stuff like that. And the crazy thing is, bro, he just does watch-alongs. He doesn't do like interviews and stuff like that, but he is growing on these levels. And I feel like you're giving that anchor because you're giving somebody hope and, you know, something. And it's got to be tough for y'all because, yeah, on the camera, everybody looks normal. And you looked at presentation, nobody's looking at it as like, oh, you don't have nothing, you know, because they just got a camera on your face, maybe up on your chest and part. That's it. They don't have it on your legs and stuff. So when they see you in person, like, oh, wow, you're actually on crutches and stuff like that. Like, and it's just like a shock factor, like, oh, man, he really isn't faking this stuff. He really is this person. And, you know, and it's just, I'm very honored to know what you have done and not literally tell you every single time, bro. Like, you earn everything that you got. You gave your school to get an awareness, a monumental thing. Like, it's a month, it's a day now, a national holiday scenario regarding with cerebral palsy. Like, that is huge, bro. Huge. And it's crazy how you seeing this stuff, and man, you're just growing every day, even more every time.
Yeah, it's all about, you know, just being consistent, being patient, and not giving up on yourself, you know, and staying humble. You know, always remember that even though you're surrounded by, you know, big people, that at the end, a friend of mine just reminded me, at the end of the day, we're all still human, whether we're famous or not.
Yeah.
You know, we're all still human.
I try to tell my wife that all the time. And God forbid, if she sees Carrie Underwood, you remember Drake and Josh? She would be Josh, regarding with Oprah. Like, that's my wife. And I keep telling her, I'm like, hon, she wears shoes and clothes just like you. Might be a little bit more fancier, you know, might be in a bigger house and all that, but she is human just like us. How could you say that? This is Carrie. This is Carrie. You know, Carrie is sacred around here.
Could you imagine how bad it would be if it was Taylor Swift? That would have been even worse.
Oh, dear gosh. No, David, come on. We're doing positive. We don't need to go down. We need to stay up, okay?
Right.
I don't know. I think Taylor Swift would draw out that Wrestlecon. I hate to say it. Even though my baby was there, Trish Stratus, you know, I mean, my goodness, that woman doesn't age a bit. And I was really just not being there for that moment. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I was hoping to see you there. I was like, oh, Warren's there, so we can at least link up or something.
Man, I had to work. Just found out Matthew's gonna get to come home soon, so I've been working nonstop.
Oh, that's awesome.
When he gets home, man, we gotta go Disney. We gotta go all these things. So getting prepared now. Just getting all prepared.
Do it now, right?
I'm not even doing a wrestling show until that's next shows that I've got come up. So I'm like, you know, just trying to just work and get everything ready for him. So when he gets here, we're ready to go.
It'll be bonding time.
Home, so we'll see what happens. Yep. Yeah, man. It's really cool. Definitely cool about that. So I do want to talk about, even though we will go more in talking about Wrestlecon, you did get the witness to go to a UFC event. So
yeah,
I gotta know, how different is it going to a UFC event compared to when you went to Wrestlecon?
Well, you know, the UFC event, you're pretty much I was pretty much, you know, in the crowd. I was sitting pretty much high up, but I got a good view of the octagon and the atmosphere, and you know, seeing Bruce Buffer there live was like, that's incredible. You know, being able to see him announce and you know, he's a legend in the sport. You know, and not many people I think know this, but Michael Buffers I think they're half brothers. So they actually did not meet till they were, I think, adults, right? And they connected, and now they work together, you know, in different projects.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. And bro, I remember when you were at that UFC event, I was like, dang, man, everybody keeps talking about that's got to be a bucket list moment. You got to go to a UFC event. And obviously everybody keeps talking about you got to go to an NBA event. Like those are the two bucket list things. I haven't done either. I haven't went to a UFC event and I haven't went to an NBA game yet. So we'll see how I can check off that list eventually. But we'll go back to talking about Wrestlecon. So you get there. I know you had a nice little drive to go to St. Augustine. How far was the drive from
about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there?
Far. Okay.
Yeah, not that far. Yeah.
That's about that's about the same drive that I got to go to St. Augustine. So that's not too far.
Yeah, I did leave pretty early because when to get there and get parking and get there on time because I wanted to meet with Nick and everybody there. Kind of get myself ready. I did run into some hiccups because I went up to the front to check in, and they're like, "We don't have you on the list," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, Nick, Nick let me know, hey, let them know. And I told him, hey, talk to Nick, and eventually got sorted out because who vouched for me to come in?
Who?
Mr. Vito. Big Vito himself.
Wow. Okay.
Told them that I was a part of Wrestlecon and to let me in. And so that happened. And so I went over to his table to thank him and we took a picture together. And we're in the same wrestling group, that we actually are in a wrestling group together. My has this wrestling group, and so we're all in there together, and so it's pretty cool. And I got to thank him and posted the picture there, and he's like, "Oh, that's awesome!" He's a pretty cool dude.
He's big on TikTok. He's real big on TikTok.
Vito is? I had no idea.
He's real big on TikTok. I know he's been announcing that he's wanting to make a comeback in wrestling. He looks great. He hell of shape, everything. Like he probably could still go, but I mean, I don't joke about it, man. You look good because you got the ring. So I don't know. I made that choice before, and I was like, man. I mean, I look good for my age and stuff like that, but I was like, damn, bro. Like,
yeah, Vito. I think he wrestled a match just recently. He's back into wrestling.
Yeah, he's back. He's back in now. Because I remember he did make an announcement, not even 3 months ago, that he was wanting to try to go to AEW or something like that. Get back on TV or something like that. So I know he was trying to go back in the indies and stuff like that. So you get in.
I'd like to see him reunite or make a brand new modern day version of the full-blooded Italians, with him being like the Don, like the head
FBI.
With like Nunzio and
I didn't even know he still wrestled, and then I watched an episode of MLW, and I'm like, oh crap, that's Nunzio. Like, he didn't even look recognizable.
Yeah, he's still in really good shape. He's still in really good shape for his age,
man. A lot of these guys look really healthy. So you got in, you got to meet. Obviously, shout out to Vito for letting you in and getting all that sorted out. I know that had to be a hassle, and it's gonna be embarrassing at the same time because you're like, yeah, man, like you're telling your camera guy, like, yeah, I'm part of the show, like, whatever. You get to that list, it's like that's like saying, like, oh man, I know the owner of the nightclub or something like that. You go up to the line because you could skip the line, and they're like, bro, you're not even on the list. They're like, what you mean? Like, you got all these people waiting in line, like, who's this guy trying to skip me? And then find out, oh, this was just a fraud. This guy's over here just trying to skip us and get in the event. Like, So I can only imagine how overwhelming that is.
Yeah, so eventually got sorted out, and I went in and started, like, taking in the atmosphere. And I'm like, I'm here, and I've been doing this podcast for 5 years, and this is probably the biggest event I've done ever, like in person. And next thing you know, I started getting into it, saw a couple of the matches, got to talk to a few of the personalities, met the Hardys, the Godfather, Ron Simmons. We shared a damn together. He heard me say damn across from him. He's like, that's pretty good, man.
I like that. I forgot Ron Simmons was on the show because nobody's been posting anything of Ron Simmons lately. I was like, dang, I didn't know if he was on there or not.
And I got to talk to Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I said, you know what? I respect it tremendously. He overcame cancer. He's still alive, and he's still positive.
He looks healthy. He looks real healthy too.
Mindset, such a great guy. Such a great guy.
Real nice. I would say out of all legends, I wish everyone could have a Hacksaw Jim Duggan like attitude, the way he has looked at everything in a perspective, like Hacksaw is literally a legitimate superhero, in my opinion. Like, fighting cancer. He saved somebody from a break-in, if I remember recently, stuff like that. So like, Hacksaw is a really awesome dude.
Yeah,
flat out.
He's a really awesome dude. He's like, yo, let's take a picture together, and we took a picture, and he was just as nice as somebody can be,
Mm-hmm.
Very, very humble.
So
and then
you just got to see all. So did you buy anything? I know there was a lot of toys they were auctioning. I know they were selling action figures. I know a lot of gimmicks were being sold.
I ended up getting a picture with I guess an autographed picture of Ron Simmons, but I was there mostly. But I figured, for me, the experience is about the pictures you take with them and the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, just to have that alone, it's worth more than memorabilia, just to buy something from the event. Like the fact that I got to interview and talk to Matt Riddle for those 10 minutes, that's more valuable than buying something off of there, because it's forever, and not only that, but it's starting to solidify, not just a top podcaster, but it shows that I can do this, I can be a decent podcaster. And Sticks put that faith in me too. It's like you start small and you work your way up, you're gonna get to where you want to be.
Yeah, man. That things like obviously, I keep saying all the time, and I was watching WrestleMania, and then I get my first match, and it's nowhere near what this video I was watching to get me prepared to get prepared in the wrestling mentality. And then when I started researching all these wrestlers and stuff, because this was what pushed me to keep going, because I felt like I was not doing what they were doing. When you look at that movie, you remember that movie where Kevin James was doing the underground stuff before he got into the UFC type scenario? What was it? Here Comes the Boom. Here Comes the Boom. And where he's fighting in these underground things, and he's realizing, oh, you're not making as much money as what they were saying on the TV scenario. Like, I look at it in that perspective, because when I was listening to podcasts like Stone Cold and guys like that, and they were telling me like, oh yeah, man, they wrestled in, small department stores and stuff like that. It made me take a perspective and go, hey man, they done it. Look where they're at now. So what was that tell me? If I continued to do this and I continued to keep pushing myself, brand it out, do this, get my name out there and stuff like that. It's like you get that believability, and it gives you that confidence. Like, hey man, eventually your time will come. Eventually you will go, but you gotta keep moving. And it can be tough at times, especially like you just said, man. You start small and you see where it goes, especially with this podcast standpoint on both our perspectives. Like, bro, I never before 2020 would ever have told you I'm going to start a streaming anything. Me streaming video games, me doing all these little things, like these little extra adventures. Like, I get excited to do these things now. Like, I would tell you right now, I had never done any of this stuff when I was in my 20s or stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just crazy how when you have that commitment and that consistency, what it really can do for growth. And it's really cool to see what you've done. I mean, bro, you've been on a consistent roll with just consistent interviews and stuff like that. And some of them are some big names, and some are making some big impacts. And then, like you just said, bro, you got to interview Matthew Riddle. Matt Riddle is still a high topic right now because, well, not figuratively and all that, high topic, but I mean, Matt Riddle is still legitimately still fresh coming off of the WWE run that he had. He had a really good, solid WWE run for a while. So it's like
he did.
So, seeing somebody like him be as successful as he was in WWE and seeing what he's doing on the Indies, MLW, and I'm pretty sure pretty soon he's going to be signed with AEW eventually. So, I mean, seeing those things, man. So, like, how different was it to interview Matt Riddle than it is compared to all your others?
It's just with Matt Riddle, you're talking about, you can ask him about what it's like traveling across the world, and like he was telling me about, how he wrestled in New Japan, won the New Japan Strong TV title, and And then I asked him about what inspires him the most to pursue his MMA and wrestling career, and he's like, I think I motivate myself the most. It's sometimes you have to motivate yourself in order to get things going, not just rely on others to motivate you.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good mentality. And like and the funny thing is, like, so many fans definitely got to label it as fans. Judge wrestlers based off of their past drama or something
Right.
like that.
And then being able to speak
For you to get to see Matt Riddle,
being able to speak with him, it made me realize that, why is there so much hate behind him? Like, he is such a nice guy. Like, being able to just have a conversation with him, like, and then I mentioned, about him and Randy, and how Randy didn't like him at first. He's like, he was adamant about, trying to be friends with him, and now they're tight as can be. They were in a tag team together, and now they're good friends.
Yeah, they talk every day, every other week.
Yep.
Maybe you might get Randy Orton on your show eventually.
Actually, the crazy part is when I released that episode, Randy could end up, who knows, he could end up watching it.
Yeah. And
because he shares it on his social media. So the reason my post is blowing up is because he, like I said, he has the collab tag on my Instagram, and it's on his page. My picture is on his page, which
that's super crazy. That's freaking awesome, dude. And it couldn't happen to a better person, in my opinion.
I was not expecting that. I was like, I'm okay with the story share, but then the fact that he put it on his page, I'm like, wow, that is like huge.
Yeah. I mean, that's really awesome. So David, like you said, you got to interview Matt Riddle, you got to talk to Teddy Long. What are some of the other ones that you got to see? Some local indie guys. Like, what are some of the ones that really caught your eye and are like, hey man, they could really be something real big in the near future?
Tiffany Nieves. I love. I don't know why, but don't sleep on me on this. But Cha-Cha Charlie. I thought it was.
A lot of people love Cha-Cha, man. A lot of people love Cha-Cha. He's a character, bro.
Man, he wanted to be back home. I wanted to take him to the ring. I was like, And then you had Simon Says out there being heel, as real as he could be. Yeah, like the whole event in general was just incredible.
Did you get to meet a guy that is called the Cheese?
Oh yeah, he pulled the cheese out of his fanny pack, and he had a belt made out of cheese. I was like, dude,
bro, this guy is gonna be something.
He's
gonna be something.
He can get over fans just with the cheese alone. Now you need a rival, lactose intolerant.
I mean, dude is phenomenal. Great character. Promo work is to the T. Like, it's like Macho Man meets a dairy product. Like, that's what it really is. It's really freaking cool. I always say, man, he reminds me of Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior together with that character. Like, he's so down to earth, like, really nice guy. And I love how everyone like AJ Francis and guys like that were taking pictures with him. Like, man, this dude's really going to be a name in the near future, in my opinion. Seeing him, getting the recognition, obviously Guardians of Legacy, wrestling promotion out in Panama City. I was glad to see that they got a table and do their thing. Shout out to Hatchet Pro Wrestling, even though they were like 10 minutes down the road. They're still a very new wrestling school that's really got great people that are putting this together. Guys like John Davis. I don't know if I can say his name, but he is in the WWE realm. So one of those guys. And I mean, they've got countless guys that will train them. one former wrestler named Alicia Fox just got trained out there again, so she's been trying to get back in the ring.
Alicia Fox is so kind too. I got to
Yes.
talk
Real
to her
nice,
a little bit.
sweetheart,
And,
a freaking sweetheart.
Yeah, like she showed us her flyer that she wanted to put out there like during the event. She's like, I'm not too sure about this flyer. I don't like it. And I'm like, let's take a look at it. And like, we love that flyer. And like, you should put it out there and believe in yourself. And she's like, oh, it's so nice. You know, I'm glad someone at least believes in me and believes my talent. And I'm like, yeah, you should put it out there. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, you know?
It's crazy. Like when you see her from Total Divas and then you see her in person, it's two different personalities. Like I still feel like Total Divas, like it showed a realism to women's wrestling, but they were still playing characters, in my opinion. Like they had storylines that put them into the shows. Because seeing her in person, I was just like, this is not the same person. Like I've been around that wrestling mantra for a while and seeing names and stuff like that. And I mean, there's some that you don't want to meet, that you are starstruck from TV wise and stuff like that. But she is a freaking sweetheart. And it's like she's her main perspective before she started training back with Hatchet or whatever it was. She wanted to stay local and give back to the indies. And she was going to give her hard-earned time to like help with media and stuff like that. No big promotions, but that are helping to grow in their perspective. So, I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, yes. Doing Wrestlecon and then watching you and Tino and the wrestling podcasters have made me realize, you know, maybe I should do like a corner, like a segment on my channel where it's just like the wrestling corner where I can, you know, invite local indie wrestlers and have them have like their own moment where they have a platform where they can talk about themselves and I get to interview them and start building that reputation as being a not just a podcaster but somebody that's, you know, kind and warm and compassionate and respectful, you know.
Yeah, man.
Because you see all these podcasters out there that just want to fish out for information. You know, not you, but there's
a lot of these. So, man. All right. So, I've been one of the ones that tells you like how it is, and I think I've had some of my guys, you know, shout out to the guys from the commission, Brian B and them. They were like, "Hey, man, we want to interview a lot of wrestlers." And Brian took a step back a little bit because I brought some wrestlers on that didn't like the perspective that he was having. Because I told Brian from the beginning, a lot of guys on the indies don't like talking about WWE. They don't like talking about AEW. They don't like talking about the bigger names. They want to talk about what's around them and stuff like that. Because in a way, they got to take a step back. They got to prepare and watch what they say because eventually that could be their job. That could be the place that's going to sign them eventually. But if they say something wrong and bad, guess what? 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, it's going to come back and haunt them. WWE is going to find out about it. AEW is going to find out about it. Like, it can really tarnish them. And that's why it's so hard to get wrestlers to come on podcasts and stuff. And I feel like that's where I take an appreciation because, yeah, I'm a pro wrestler, but I've had my time. I've had my time trying to do whatever I could do at that level, whatever. I'm just having fun. I'm a family man. I'm a husband. You know, for me to get a blessing to even put this little vignette back on, like, it's just super fun for me right now. Like, of course, I could change my character and I could have done something a whole lot different, but this is the one that put me on the map. This is the one that my son really took a visual to, and everything that he's been going through and stuff like that. I feel like I have a piece of him with me when I'm that character. You know, from the stuff that he's been going through with the surgeries and stuff like that, like the toughness of that, I feel like I have a piece of him with me being the American Prodigy. And that's something that I always try to remind people because everybody always asks me, it's like, hey, man, did you ever feel about changing it up a little bit? I've always wanted to, but it's like, I love what American Prodigy brings. I love what the character represents. And it's cool for kids to actually say USA and be happy about it. Like, especially with everything going on in the world and everything like that, it's not so cool to rock the red, white, and blue. So for me to get someone to buy a shirt or buy something that represents the patriotic way, man, that's got to be a big pat on my back type scenario, because that just shows like, hey, man, it's okay to represent this, love, appreciate and stuff like that. Like, that's something like I try to bring with that character, even though good old Super Saiyan friend of mine that's in the big leagues, and he is the big guy of the business now with an American mantra, and he's making multi-million dollars taking that look. So I get the, oh man, you remind me of this Rhodes guy, and I'm like, yeah, we're in this era now. We're in this era now. But I love it, man. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for everything that wrestling has been able to get. And it's really good to see an organic baby face get over with the crowd now. And that's something like I take pride with my characters. Like, hey, man, I don't have to do so much, and I still can get a reaction out of the crowd. That's what wrestling really is. And I mean, man, what wrestling is doing as a whole right now, AEW, WWE, TNA, my goodness, what they're doing right now. MLW, oh my gosh, like all these crazy promotions, Southern Honor, I mean, Action Pro, and all these guys now, like independent wrestling's got such a big spotlight. It's just unheard of to me in ways. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what I asked him too. Is the landscape of professional wrestling? It's just evolving all the time. Everything's changing, and it's incredible. And back to Riddle from earlier, like I was not expecting Riddle to come up to me and say, let's do this interview, because I knew I knew that I came fresh from the WWE, and he was in New Japan, and I'm like, it's okay if he says no, it's fine, and he's, let's do it. And I'm like, are you? And then in my back of my mind, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? This guy who was just fresh off of WWE, he's a multiple time tag team champion and US champion, has just agreed to be on my show, and I'm just a small little channel, Riddle, like, I wasn't expecting him to come up and say, let's do this podcast, like if you like to, like, here and now. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, he's a multiple time WWE champion, and I'm like, and I'm sitting here like awestruck. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I have no
content, no questions.
I have no microphone, no nothing. So I'm just gonna do it on the fly and then edit it all out. And I'm like, wow, it's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm kind of shaking a little bit because I just did an interview with Matt freaking Riddle,
I love it. I love that. That's awesome, man. And that's awesome that you got to witness that. Like I said, man, for you to get to see that moment, like, that's got to be like that. Like, if this was your last day doing that Cerebral Palsy podcast and you got to interview Matthew Riddle, like former WWE tag team champ, former great storyline. He is a part of that storyline with the Bloodline, one of the greatest storylines that's ever happened in pro wrestling in the last freaking 20 years. Like, to see what everything has been, especially me, one of my absolute favorites is Randy Orton. Matt Riddle, I've said it on the podcast plenty of times, I was not a fan of him, but he made me believe in him from him doing the RK Bro, the story that they done with that. I was just like, damn, man, he's making me really care about him. And I was always like, oh man, this surfer dude, pothead gimmick, this ain't going to get over in the main roster. And you realize that Matt Riddle really could be a superstar, and more importantly, he's a draw. He is legitimately a draw.
Riddle, to me, is literally the modern day RVD. That's what I see him.
I'm sure he's referenced himself as that before too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of comparisons with him.
And then I don't mean the whole, or it's
No,
one
no,
thing.
no,
I
no, no.
mean,
I'm talking about like it's the misfit that you never thought would fit, but he legitimately
right,
represented what he
right,
came from.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, like I see the resemblance, you know. And when I was speaking with him and everything, and he is down to earth. Like I have so much respect for him. And then, um, you know, I think it's his wife or his girlfriend. You know, I said thank you for following me, and she mentioned that I think his son has cerebral palsy.
Mhm.
I'm like, no way. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And she's like, I love what you're doing with your advocacy. Keep it going. And I said, you know, don't ever stop fighting for your son because one day he'll flourish. You know, there's going to be a lot of obstacles in the way because he has cerebral palsy, but that doesn't make him any less different.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, I talk about it all the time, man. You've helped me with a lot when it comes with stuff with my son, you know, with him being autistic, him having scoliosis and stuff like that. I just look at guys like you, Tino, and stuff like that, and how much y'all have excelled. And even a guy that I just had on the podcast, Caden McElwin, just how it's not proven that all autistic kids are dumb. And you know, and it was sad that schools were judging him because you were even on the autism spectrum. You're a for you to change the narrative and stuff like that. That just shows so much. And y'all make it understandable when you know parents. And I don't say this is an easy thing, and I don't want people to feel shame or pity about it. Like I'm a proud father of a child that's on the autism spectrum. I'm a proud father of a kid that you just got to be patient with. And I tell people all the time, man, if you give this kid a quiz about fans, this dude's a straight A student. And you know, seeing the just the knowledge and growth of kids that have these special things that happen to them and witness this stuff in person is just a beautiful thing. I talk about it all the time, man. My last visit at the hospital, shout out to the Atlanta Medical Center, realizing we do our bad day is not compared to theirs, period. Me witnessing kids in a room that couldn't pick up pencils and crying about it at 5, 6 years old. Like these kids, they're traumatized that they just don't feel they fit in with groups. Like my son, when he had his halo on, he felt like he didn't fit with the kids at his school and stuff like that. And you know, just see his reaction when he just got to graduate 5th grade just recently, and see my son receive the sportsmanship award. And that just broke me down because I was just like, man, for my son to be as respectful he is to every kid, which I know there's got to be some kids that make fun of him for being, you know, a little bit more of a happier person. Like my son doesn't understand if someone's talking bad about him or making fun of him or whatever. My son sees it as everyone's the same. And seeing my son get a sportsmanship award from the PE teacher that was in tears because she said, this little boy makes me want to be a better person every day. That really made me feel like my son just won an MVP award or something like that.
And that,
you know, go ahead, man.
You know, I'm going to say that, and that shows how much of a wonderful father you are. You know, for them to say that when it comes to a child, they emulate what they see at home and what they experience at home. And obviously, you're doing something right.
I hope. I hope my kids are getting something out of it, man. But yeah, David. Is there anything you want to finish on with the Wrestlecon? Talking about Wrestlecon, was there some promotions that you got to see, stuff like that?
I definitely want to. My goal next year to really, not just push out the podcast, but just have casual conversations that everybody, you know, just get to, you know, ask them, you know, how's your day? You know, what sports do you all like? Kind of build that foundation for them to see, hey, it's just a normal human being with a normal conversation. And eventually it's like, you know, it builds up to the point where it's like, okay, so this guy's just, you know, he's not really fishing for anything. And he wants to, you know, do an interview. And I want to focus mostly on the smaller independent events, you know, like DCCW and, you know, Legacy Wrestling. And I want to get those, you know, wrestlers involved and have them, you know, have a chance to have a platform and they can talk and speak about themselves. And that's what I'm doing now. Like, I'm also in talks of interviewing Scotty Sosa as well. She was looking for me at the convention and up, and she followed me on my Instagram podcast page, and I'm having her on the show eventually as well.
Hey man, that's awesome. That's awesome. David, I want to thank you for coming back on, man. This was absolutely fun, man. I got to live through Wrestlecon through you last weekend, seeing the pictures.
You gotta come next year. Awesome. You know, we'll link up.
I'm definitely gonna be there next time. If I'm alive, I'm damn sure gonna be there for that one, man. Because I was really upset I wasn't able to make it. I was hoping to get off early Sunday because I even messaged Vanessa and I was like, hey, if I can get off at a certain time, could I get help getting in the back and stuff? She's like, absolutely. And I was like, yeah, I'm finally off. I got excited. I got off at 3 something. And she messaged me and said, yeah, they're shutting everything down like in the next 2 hours. It wouldn't even be worth it. I'm like, crap. So I tried, but I'm definitely will be there next one for sure. Definitely will.
Yeah,
definitely
you know, yeah, I'll have to link up and hopefully I'll get to meet the American Prodigy persona there. Have you have a table or a booth or whatever, or you know, just come as yourself. Either way, you know,
we'll get something set up. We're definitely American Prodigy ain't done, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then one of the things I would like to do, which is probably a long shot, but one day in the future, is to hopefully be not like a guest commentator, but I mean, just your backstage interviewer for like a show. Just experience what it's like, you know, being able to interview like a wrestler after a match or before a match and be like, you know, get their take of what's, you know, what they're expecting and what their thoughts are. And, you know, that'd be really cool.
We might get that set up for you. We'll talk about that.
I'll
work on something for you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Just even a small show, just the experience of, you know, being a backstage interviewer, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hello, David, Cerebral Policy Fitness channel. David, do you still do the channel where you were describing like certain objects like fork and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I still do. Yeah. That's it's a little segment I do. Like my life journey was cerebral palsy. I talk about, you know, certain things that I use and certain different objects and you know, out there that I feel that they can contribute to the world, and so I kind of talk about that as well.
Okay. Yeah, man. I highly recommend people to do it, man. I'm telling y'all right now, man, this guy's got the most confidence, and he's literally a trailblazer when it comes to helping the next person, you know, give confidence, try something new, step outside the box and stuff like that. So y'all definitely give support to David and his podcast, man. And plus, man, he just got Matt Riddle on there, man. He got Matt Riddle.
Riddle, y'all.
Yeah. All right, David, man. I hope and pray you have a great rest of your day. And David, thank you for coming on. You know you're more than welcome to come on anytime. We'll definitely get this back and set up. Guys, make sure y'all check his links below. This is another episode of Buzzing with Marlowe, and we are out. Have a good one.
Thank you, bro.